Hey students, today we're going to do another language topic. This topic is for students of standard 8th, 9th and 10th. This topic is called punctuations and capitalization, but students of standard 7th also can watch this. Now, I know a lot of you will be thinking that this topic is so easy. I mean, we all know which punctuations and how they're used. However, even now when we correct work from the 10th standard, we find a lot of errors in basic punctuation. And as you know, your language and literature paper has a huge portion of your marks that is assigned for grammar. So your punctuations matter, and your punctuations do have, and capitalization do have a lot of weightage in any answer that you write, or even your entirety of your language paper is determined not just by your content, but also by your grammatical structure and your punctuations. So let's begin. Okay, let's look at the sentence. This is one of my favorite sentences when I read it. And it says, let's eat grandma. Now, there's obviously something missing in this sentence because the whole meaning of the sentence is wrong. What you're implying is that you want to go and eat your grandmother, which is not actually what you're trying to say. So, how do we make this sentence grammatically correct, okay, and not change the meaning of the sentence, and without actually restructuring the words of the sentence? For those who figured it out, good job. Some of you may have even heard this sentence before. So, how do we make the sentence correct? Let's eat, comma, grandma. Now, can you imagine, just because that one comma was missing, okay, the whole meaning of that sentence changed, and the sentence was incorrect in a disastrous way, because obviously you don't want to eat your grandmother. So that is why we need to pay attention to how we punctuate, because we don't want to change. Sometimes we write amazing work, but that work doesn't make sense because we've not punctuated it correctly. This is a kind of sentence that we usually get in the exam. So pause the video, have a look at the sentence. Now, if you've gone through the sentence, you will realize that the sentence has too much that is just going on. I understand that a lot of times in the examinations, and even when you're writing your work in class, just to complete your work in 30 minutes, we continuously write without really thinking about where the pauses should be, where a sentence needs to end. And so we land up having sentences that look like this. Now, this is a monstrosity of a sentence, and it looks really horrible to read. And when we get this in the exam, obviously we don't enjoy reading the content. Even what you've written may be good, but this kind of puts us off. So, how do we therefore make these sentences better? The first punctuation that we're going to look at is the full stop. Now, in American language, American English, you will see a lot of difference between English and the British English and American English. You can use either. Okay, there is no hard and fast rule. The ICSE does not really stop you or prevent you from using the American English or the American style of writing. However, if you have chosen one style, stick to that. Okay, so if you're writing and you really favor the British style of English, then go for it. And if you're going to choose to do the American style of English, then you need to know what exactly are their punctuations and how do they spell. And stick to that throughout your paper. So let's talk about the full stop, or what is also called as the period. It's usually used at the end of a sentence. So this is its most basic function. Right? It tells you that the sentence has ended. Usually when we're doing our orals or when we're giving a speech, this is where you would take a long pause. So, I went to school, or he visited us during the summer break. This is where you will take your pause. It allows you that time to breathe, and you know that whatever the idea of the sentence was is over. Remember, every sentence kind of gives you an idea. This sentence has an idea, and this sentence also has an idea. So the idea of the sentence is over. Now, the other form is abbreviations. What are abbreviations? They're short forms. Usually we can form abbreviations by using certain key alphabets in the word, or we take the first alphabet of the different words. So, Mr. John, so I use a full stop after Mr. because Mr. is shortened form of M-I-S-T-E-R. Or doctor, we all know the spelling of doctor, but we shorten it and we use a full stop. Now, if you see in certain texts and even in American texts, you will find authors dropping this. But since we stick to, the English style, the British style of writing English, we use the full stop. Now, another form of abbreviation is the word etc. So we use a full stop after that. Example, or what this abbreviation means is that is. There are other abbreviations also that you will come across. For example, television, TV, we use T.B. or AM and PM, so A.M. Okay, so yeah, these are abbreviations. The next one is the comma. The comma is most essential in giving us pauses in our sentences. However, it's one of the most underutilized punctuation that is there in English. So, how do we use the comma? We can separate list of items using a comma. So this is one sentence because there are several things that I'm going to buy from a market. I'm going to separate those things, those list of things with using a comma. Now, another form of using comma you will come across is when the comma is before the word and. So you will find that most people use either styles, and if you're using a comma before and, it's correct, and if you're not using it, it's also fine. Okay? You also use comma before conjunctions. So not every time, but before but, and, or so. So you can ask her, but I don't think she will agree. Now remember, when we go ahead, I will tell you this again, but this comma can be replaced even by a semicolon. Because the first part of the sentence gives an idea, and the second part is joined and giving another idea, but it is linked to the first one. Okay, so both the halves. So you can ask her, I don't think she will agree. Okay, I've used a conjunction to join the two sentences. I can choose to use a full stop and separate the two sentences. I can use a comma and join the two sentences again. Or I can use a semicolon and join the two sentences. A semicolon is usually used for longer sentences when the second half of the idea is a little longer. But sometimes, instead of using a comma, I can also use a semicolon. Besides that, say you have another sentence like this, and this one. So take a break, pause it, and read the sentences. Okay, so let's move ahead from before conjunctions. Now, when we were doing narrative essays, we've seen what kind of transitional words we can use. Remember, transitional words are also referred to as linking words, and they help us to get some kind of fluency to our paragraphs, okay, within our paragraphs. Otherwise, the sentences appear to be very choppy, like, they're just chopped off. So the transitional words give that kind of fluency that we need in a sentence. Now, commas are used after the transitional words because the transitional words then help us take that pause that we need. Okay? Nevertheless, comma, I went to see him. If you kind of were observant of the way I was reading, I stopped after nevertheless, just a small pause. Okay? It kind of allows, if you're giving a speech, it kind of allows to make that impact on the audience, and it allows you to take that breath also sometimes when you are reading a huge text. Besides, I never knew what they were capable of. Or, firstly, I need to thank you. So I took a break over there, and then I proceeded with the next half. So these are some of the transitional words. I have already sent some bit of transitional words to certain classes. So there are several others besides these that you can use. There are a lot of authors who choose to ignore these transitional words, like they use it in certain places, but if they don't want a pause, they tend to omit it. But largely when we're writing narrative essays, we use the transitional words. To insert an idea into a sentence. Now this is very crucial for your writing skill. If you look at this sentence and the next one, Dr. Rajat, who is also my neighbor, is going to check on the patients. If you see the next one, Dr. Rajat is going to check on the patients. Now, if you look at both the sentences, the second one, okay, is a sentence, it's a whole sentence, while the first one has another idea that is kind of pushed into the sentence, who is also my neighbor. I can choose to remove this part and create a second separate sentence. Dr. Rajat is going to check on the patients. He is also my neighbor. But I want to add that information for more emphasis or for more clarity of thought into the sentence that is already there. How do I do this? I separate both the parts using comma. Okay? But if you see the idea of Dr. Rajat, again, subject-verb agreement, it is and it is not linked to this sentence. Okay, this is linked to Dr. Rajat. I hope you can utilize this form in, especially when you're doing jottings, or you use punctuation smartly when you're doing your jottings and summarizations and stuff, because it helps you to reduce the number of words that you're using and bring it down to a large extent. Now, if I had to write this separately, I would have to use more number of words. But it helps me when I'm using commas. This is actually a smaller sentence. Sometimes with bigger sentences, it reduces the number of words that I'm using. Next, the colon. So if I want to list different bits of information, I can use a colon. Okay? For example, the following are the reasons for heavy rains. So I use a colon and then I create sub-points and I start writing. Now this is very useful when you're writing your history answers. Remember, English answers are not written in points, but for, say, example, your history answers, you can use this technique, or your geography answers, or economics, or any of these subjects. There are two reasons for my actions, so use your colon, and the subpoints, remember, you will begin with capital letter, okay, because you're starting on a new idea, and then you end the subpoint with a full stop. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to use a semicolon, a colon there. The next one is the semicolon. The semicolon is used for the continuation of a thought or an idea. So the first half of the sentence, if you read the sentences, gives you an idea, and the second half that is there is kind of connected to the first half. I can choose to write these into two separate sentences. I will use a full stop and I can separate them out. Or I can use a conjunction and I can join the sentences. Or I can use a comma. But given that these are two individual set of thoughts which can stand by themselves, I can use the semicolon. Okay, so he's so stubborn, semicolon, it's impossible to change his ideas. So changing his ideas is not possible, is linked to the fact that he's stubborn. And you can read the next one by yourself. So let's proceed, given that you must have already read the sentences. The apostrophe. Now this is one which is used really often, but is used incorrectly so often by you. So the apostrophe is usually used to indicate several things. The first one that we're going to look at is contractions. What is to contract a word? So I have a bigger word, say, I will give you examples of it. I have a bigger word and I drop an alphabet from it and I join the word. Now that is a contraction of that word, of those words rather. So it is. Okay, I have dropped the letter I and I've joined it. So it's. You are becomes your. Remember, this your is very different from the other your. This your is you are. So, you're so silly. So, you are so silly. Okay? But vis-a-vis the other one that is there, which is, did you take your medicines? So that your is you are. A lot of people use these interchangeably. They cannot be. They mean different things. There becomes there. We had, we'd. Did not, didn't. A lot of times we find students using the apostrophe. This is a very common error. Instead of using it between N and T, we get the apostrophe between D and N. I don't know if you do it in haste or this is what you have learned, but the apostrophe is never between D and N, it is between N and T, because over there the O of not is removed and the word is contracted. Doesn't. This is another one that is goofed up really often, where the apostrophe comes between S and N. Okay? If you're making these errors, please be aware of these errors and correct yourself. Okay, it's fine if you've been making these errors, but learn to now start correcting these small mistakes that we've been making. Okay, cannot becomes can't. Now, a very popular contraction that kind of features in our essays really often is ain't. I understand you watch a lot of American films and or American series, and we use this in our slang language every time. We're using it when we text. We use it when we hashtags, but this is incorrect English. Okay, when we're writing formally, we cannot bring in slang language into our essays, into our writing, and so we have to stick to aren't. Okay. Now, apostrophes are also used when it comes to showing possession. My brother's bag, so I have to use an apostrophe S. We met at Davis's house. Now, if you see, I have, despite it ending with an S, I've used an apostrophe and I've written the second S. Why do I do this? Because if you pay attention to the way I've read the sentence, I have pronounced the second S. I've enunciated it. So, we met at Davis's house. I've said the second S. Okay, I've emphasized on it. But if you look at the next sentence that I give you, this is my parents' house. I don't say this is my parents' house. I don't read the sentence that way. I don't enunciate. There's no S there for me to enunciate. So what I do is I don't write that S, but I write the apostrophe. A lot of students forget to write this apostrophe. Okay, so when we need to show possession, we will use apostrophe. A lot of students call it an ulta comma. It is not an ulta comma. Let's start using the terms that they actually have. Question mark. Now this is easy to use and yet we forget to use it, which shows you obviously that you're asking a question. For example, where are you going or how are you doing? Okay. The exclamation mark is there to express your emotion or an idea. We can use them in the form of interjections. Interjections are basically certain words that overtly express what you are feeling. So, for examples, ouch, hooray, oh no. These are interjections. And I would use them in a sentence like this, where I would say, ouch, exclamation mark, my mistake. The word that follows after the exclamation mark is written in capital. I hurt my toe and I end with a full stop. Got that? But if you look at the next one, what is an exclamatory sentence? Okay, an exclamatory sentence where the whole sentence expresses an idea or expresses an emotion really loudly. So what a beautiful word this is. Okay? Where if you see the previous one, I only emphasized on ouch, I hurt my toe. Well, over here, I'm expressing the whole sentence. What a beautiful world this is. How fine this house looks. Okay, and then I end with an exclamation mark. A lot of students get confused when they start sentences beginning with what or how, they usually think it's a question. It doesn't necessarily need to be a question. The way you enunciate or you intonate in questions is very different from how you intonate in exclamatory sentences. Okay, that we will leave for another class. Let's move ahead. Capitalization. Now this is the death of us all, because no matter how much we explain this, somehow it falls on deaf ears. So capitalization, very, very important. Okay, when you begin a sentence with small alphabet, you've lost your examiner right there. Okay, so begin a sentence with a capital letter. Where are you going? Or they are telling us their version of the tale, full stop. But we don't know whether to believe it. Okay, so use that capital letter. You may be writing in haste in an exam, but remember you're putting off your examiner when you make these very basic errors. Proper nouns. You will be really surprised. I get students who write their own names in small alphabets in the examination. At least write your own names in capital letters because it's a proper noun. So, I live in Goa, G capital. My name is Rakesh, R capital. Okay, Sia and Mia are twins. Capital letter for proper nouns. Okay, the I wrote proper noun there, it's actually the pronoun. My mistake. The pronoun I, you need to write in capital. So, I am a girl, capital letter. They said that I, capital. Reena and I, capital. And always remember, the donkey comes last. And in this case, who is the donkey? The I. So it's never I and Reena. Okay, it's you have to put yourself in the latter half. You first give the name of the people who are there. So Reena and I are going to the fair. So the pronoun I has to be in capital and it has to come after, later in the list of names or whatever that you are writing. When it comes to titles, now, the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. If you see, T is capital because obviously beginning, okay? D is capital. The articles, the prepositions, okay, these are all written in small alphabet. Then you follow the other words in capital letter. So for example, Pride and Prejudice, the conjunction and is written in small. I don't write P capital, A capital, P. Okay, so articles, prepositions, conjunctions in a title are written in small. The rest of the words and terms are then written in capital letters. So Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Okay? Another one for you. Let's proceed. Okay, abbreviations. So United Nations, U capital N. Whenever you're writing, in history we get this. When we ask you to write the full form of words, we get United Nations, U small, N small. Okay, U capital, N capital, when you abbreviate. Television, okay, WHO. W capital, H capital, O capital. Again, why I've written television? Because when we say write in capital, they write T capital, V capital. Television is one word, which is abbreviated into small. Okay, so you have to know whether these are separate terms which will then get capital alphabets. Okay, if it's part of one word, obviously in the middle you won't make that word capital, letter capital. Yeah, so you have Bachelor of Arts, BA. If you see the others, I have not used a full stop, but in BA I have used a full stop. Sometimes in television, according to British English, we do use full stops, but American English, they kind of remove it out. When you have a common noun following a proper noun, so for example, Ganga River. River by itself should be in small alphabet. But because it is attached to the word Ganga, and Ganga is a proper noun, we write even river in capital. Okay, so similarly, Delhi city. If I was just talking the city is polluted, I usually write it in small alphabet. When I'm talking about Delhi city is popular, then I use because it's following, it's attached to the word Delhi. Okay, it's coming in the same, what you call usage. Okay, now, municipal, corporation, Mount Everest. If you see the shortened form of mount, mountain is either mount or mount, it empty. Okay. Now, this is very, very common that you get again in school. A lot of students write Manavikas M capital and then English medium school in small. Okay, but remember, English medium school is attached to Manavikas, and Manavikas school is a proper noun because it's an institution. So you have to capitalize the rest of the words. Okay, after an exclamation mark, you need to use a capital letter. So, oh, I wish you could come, or what a brilliant idea. We, if you see the W there, is capitalized. Alright, so here are a few sentences for you to solve. Pause the video, go through it, take your notebook, solve it in your notebook, and then I will show you the answers. So pause the video, start solving. Fine, given that you must have already solved, gone through everything, let's check whether you've gotten right. What you need to do is take another colored pen, okay? And the ones that you've gotten correct, that's fine. But the ones that you've missed, you can punctuate it, okay? Using the other colored pens. So these are the answers. Just pause the video and start correcting. Alright, so thank you so much for watching the video. I hope this helps you, and I hope you start getting more aware of the errors in punctuation that you are making and capitalization also, so that you can create better answers for your examiners and don't miss out on those marks. Thank you so much again. Stay safe and keep watching and waiting for the other videos.